Another episode of Care Sandwich with a really special guest named Andy, who is going to talk to us about med mal cases and all kinds of other interesting products liability cases and how he combines all those case types together and provides amazing service. And before I bring him on the virtual stage, I want to play this video for you. I'll see you in a sec. Welcome to Care Sandwich, the podcast where we dive into the success journeys of law firm owners across the country. I'm Margarita Everline, your host and the founder of Marketing Boss, a fractional chief marketing officer firm for law firms. On this show, we'll explore the challenges, strategies, and victories that have shaped law firms and how they wrap every interaction with care. Because we believe that caring isn't just a value, it's a strategy for success. So grab your favorite sandwich, sit back, and let's dig into a conversation filled with insight, inspiration, and of course, a lot of care. All right. I want to welcome to the virtual stage, Andy. Come on down or up or sideways.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me. How are you?
I'm great. Directionally challenged, apparently, but it's good to see you, Andy. Yeah. So I am excited to talk to you because everybody thinks about personal injury and they think about auto accidents or big rig accidents, right? And there are other case types in that category that you handle that are very unique and that you're able to help people with and that you have so much experience with. So tell us about that. How did you end up in personal injury? And then specifically tell us what case types you like to work on.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I'd say to your first question of how I ended up there, I've always loved helping people, and especially in law school, when I didn't really know what I wanted to do, what sort of attorney I wanted to be. I always found myself in class, though, being really good at arguing for the side of sort of the little guy, the individuals who were harmed in some way, and a very difficult time arguing on behalf of, the fictitious big corporations or insurance companies and things like that. So it was really a natural fit, a natural sort of thing for me to choose to go into personal injury. And the type of cases I've handled throughout my career have really been, every single type of complex personal injury case really that's out there with very few exceptions. So like you mentioned, I handle a lot of medical malpractice cases, a lot of product liability cases, road defects. I also do those car wrecks and those heavy truck wrecks as well. One thing I've always prided myself on, though, is, when something really bad happens and you're investigating and peeling back, what happened and how did it happen? Having experience in all of those areas allows me to sort of holistically take a look at a case to understand if there's, potentially a products case. Sometimes in a car wreck case, you're not thinking about did a defect in the car or some other issue lead to this injury. And so that's really what I've always prided myself on being able to do.
I love that. So I have some friends that do personal injury and they were in law enforcement. And so we talked about some like that, where there's a little bit of a crossover there. So can you walk us through maybe an example of a case where maybe it seemed like it was only one type of case, and then it turned out that there were other layers of personal injury cases that you were able to treat?
Sure. I'll give you, without giving too much detail, because we're about to file a lawsuit in this one particular case, right? But I got a call from a friend of mine who, her close friend had just found out that her father had passed away, and they didn't really know much of anything at the time. They knew he was a heavy truck driver himself, and that he and several other people had passed in this sort of, really catastrophic type wreck case. And when I get the details, all you have initially is what they're reporting on the news when it's something this big. You're not going to get police reports and things like that until they've gone through a much more thorough investigation. So we had to peel that back and really go out and investigate, go to the scene itself. It turned out to be not just a user error, somebody messing up. It turned out it was a tire defect. The tire had exploded and caused my client's father to, unfortunately, you know, overcorrect and get into a large collision with several other vehicles. So that's one example of, having the wherewithal to not just do car wreck cases, but to have a product liability background. I looked into a road defect case too, and that one, and turns out there was not a road defect in this particular instance, but oftentimes that could be the reason why there's a wreck as well.
So you researched everything, or like did something tip you off? Like how do you even wrap your head around like where to look?
Yeah, well, I have had some experience in going out there and looking these things and figuring it
Mhm.
out, but also I've got the benefit of some really good experts that I use. That a couple in particular, I know I can call anytime there's something like this that happens, and they can have somebody out there, relatively quickly to help me unpack everything and to help sort of take a look, through the scientific process as to what really happened in this particular instance. And so that certainly helps. But over the years, you pick up some things from some of those experts and can do some of it on your own.
Yeah, and one of the things that I've learned about medical malpractice and products liability specifically is that those cases are a little bit tricky to prove when it comes to really assessing damages. So, like what I see a lot, and this is from auditing phone calls because we have a whole sales program where people call and they say, "Oh, I have a med mal case because my doctor prescribed me this medication and it upset my stomach." Right? Like I'm giving an extreme example. Or I have a products liability case because I was opening a toy and I cut my finger. Like, walk us through what are some of the elements in those types of cases and that you look for, and how do you help people that have been hurt?
Well, I think you nailed it there. And unfortunately, unlike a average car wreck case where you're not going to have to really spend a lot of money, if any money at all, on sort of proving up the case, any products liability case and any medical malpractice case, you have to hire experts. In Georgia, in medical malpractice cases, you're not even able to file a lawsuit without a signed affidavit from an expert in the same field that you're suing. So if it's a cardiology case, you have to have a cardiologist. And so, unfortunately, and your examples are good ones. If you cut your finger or have an upset stomach, unfortunately, that's not going to be a case that I'm going to be able to help you out with, because you're going to spend more money than you would ever potentially recover down the road. The hard case is when it's really close, right? It's not a death case, it's not a paraplegic case, but someone really has been seriously harmed. But maybe they've gotten better. And those are the tough calls that a lot of times I've had to unfortunately have serious conversations with my clients and advise them. I don't think that you're going to be able to recover more than you're going to spend. But
Right.
it just really depends on the facts of each particular case.
So, is there a particular way that you like people to connect with you when it comes to referring you cases? If other attorneys are listening and they're like, wow, like I really think that I found somebody that I'm comfortable referring cases to, like, is there a specific area that you look for? And then, meaning geographic area. And then, how do you want people to connect with you?
So, I mean, I love what I do. I love being a lawyer. I love this type of law. So I love when people connect with me. I'm happy to share my cell phone number with anybody who wants to pick up the phone and maybe not even refer me a case, but maybe just talk through a case and whether they believe it's a case or not. I'm always available to do that. I'm not really limited in any geographic manner. I depending on the type of case, I've practiced really all over the country. Most of my cases are in Georgia and in the Southeast. But at the end of the day, the substance of a medical malpractice case and the substance of a products liability case they're the same. Now, each state is obviously going to have their different challenges when it comes to whether there's caps on damages, for instance, or whether there's a particular law that makes it more challenging to bring one of these claims.
Mhm.
But I don't try to limit myself to any particular region, because medicine's medicine, and engineering is engineering at the end of the day.
Yeah. And so, do you have any like story that you can share where it led you down this diversity of cases, because I know so many attorneys in your space that are just so like, they don't want to do the other types of personal injury cases because they want to stick with the easy, like the MBA or like truck stuff.
Well, I get that. There's a lot. I mean, the MVAs obviously oftentimes they pay the lights, right? They come through and you can turn those over really quickly. And I totally understand somebody who doesn't want to handle a case that might take 4 or 5. I've had cases that have lasted 6, 7 years at times, but I totally get that. For me, I just I like diversity. I like variety, and having every single one of my cases be very different from the next keeps me interested. It keeps me intrigued. It makes me really continue to enjoy and love what I do.
I love that. I can relate to that. I like the hard things. Like I like the Rubik's cubes. I'm a tinkerer, so I can totally
Oh yeah.
relate. I've had consultants tell me, Margarita, there are easier ways to make money with your skill set than this like customized white glove CMO firm that you've created.
Yeah.
It's a cage, and I'm just like, yeah, but I kind of like it here. Like,
That's right. Yeah.
anyway, so this has been a great conversation. Andy, I have one more question for you.
Sure.
And I bet it's going to be the hardest question because, like it's doesn't have to do with the law, and that seems to be so easy for you. So my next question for you is, what is your favorite sandwich?
That is by far the hardest question you've asked me today, because I'm a huge sandwich lover, and it's I think the reason it's so hard is because I don't think I have one particular answer. There's so many that I love, but if I had to pick just one, I'd have to go with a local restaurant here in Savannah, the Black Rabbit. It's a place I've been going for years with friends. They have the best sandwiches anywhere, and in particular, their Cuban sandwich is, I think, the best sandwich in Savannah, Georgia. So I'd have to
Yum.
go with that.
Okay, do you have a favorite condiment? Is that an easy one for you?
Ooh, probably ranch. Yeah, that's probably easy because ranch, that goes with everything. Every sandwich, every pizza, chicken fingers, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I'd probably go with ranch for that.
I'm with that, and it's very easy to make. I don't know if you know that. You can make it with like 3 or 4 ingredients.
My wife tells me it's very easy. I'm not the cook of the family, unfortunately. I very much so. I look up to her skills in doing things like that, but I wouldn't know the first thing about making ranch. So
Yeah, they'd end up injured, right?
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, this has been a great conversation, Andy. Folks, get in touch with him if you have cases in the state of Georgia, anywhere in the country that fall within the personal injury types that he handles. He's your guy. He's going to be thorough. He's going to think out of the box, and just get in touch and find out. Talk to him about it. I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. We'll see you on the next episode of Care Sandwich. And Andy, I'll see you backstage.
Yeah. Thank you, Margarita.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Care Sandwich. Remember, the way we care for our clients, our teams, and ourselves can make all the difference in our success. Until next time, keep caring, keep growing.